So when I was looking at the conference and we're setting up the teams, I reviewed all the videos that we have on YouTube of past conferences from both AXYS and KSNA. And I saw this fantastic session that was three gentlemen with XXY. And it was you, Zell, and it was David Wright and David Davis. And I thought it was really interesting to hear you guys talk about your lives and your thoughts on things. And I thought, wouldn't it be neat to take this opportunity to do a kind of where are they now? You know, let's catch up with these gentlemen. And I think also too, I guess because myself, I'm coming up on a milestone birthday this year. Let's talk about what it's like to be a little bit older. You know, I think there's a lot about kids, there's a lot about teenagers, but our life is all the way. And so it might be fun to catch up with people and find out what's happening now in your life. So I guess the first thing I would say is, hi, Zell, how are you? And what's happening in your life now?
Well, I'm pretty good now. I was sick for the month of April, but I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Yeah.
Good. And you're quite an active volunteer with AXYS. We appreciate everything you do. Can you talk about why you help on the helpline and what you do for us?
Well, sure. I think it's, I mean, it seems to me second nature. It just seems like, of course, I'm going to try to help people that are maybe experiencing the same sort of things that I experienced. I've been to many conferences, and I've learned a lot since being diagnosed in 1984, I've always been someone that liked to be helpful to people. I hear mothers talking about their XXY child, that they're very helpful, that they like to do things for other people, and that's certainly the way I've always been. I don't know if it's an XXY trait per se, or whether it's, I tend to think that it might be something that having a certain amount of adversity in one's life, one likes to, one feels that other people need help in adversity in their lives. So I think it maybe gives us a sense of empathy to have that. And we like to, I mean, obviously all of us who are on the Facebook pages try to help other people that are newbies, say, that have just found out or something. We try to impart the information that we have. So.
Well, thank you. And it's very helpful to people, and I really appreciate that. What have you noticed? Certainly I would think over the years, people who are now getting a diagnosis or just now finding out, probably a lot has changed since when you found out, back in the late 80s. Do you feel that medicine, doctors are more helpful, or the medical tests we have are better, or maybe the kinds of testosterone or the choices?
Certainly there's more information available than there was when I was diagnosed. I went across the street from my doctor's office in a small town in New York to the local hospital library and looked up XXY, and the only things besides medical texts that was available were medical journals that were all in Danish. So I couldn't read any of the journals information. So, and then it wasn't until 1989 that KSNA started. Mm-hmm. And it was in the 90s that a bunch of us were on a listserv where we could talk with each other. and one of the first things I asked on the listserv was, do all XXYs have ultra low cholesterol levels? And I found out that no, most of them don't have that. And so that was just some quirk of mine. So, but yeah, so what else is?
Well, I guess too, tell us a little bit about you professionally. My understanding is that you're an artist. You're a sculptor. Is that correct?
I've always, yes, I've always, I remember my mother giving me a bar of ivory soap that I could carve with a dull knife when I was very little, and went on to buying salt licks, cattle salt licks that I could carve, that they were something that one could use wood carving tools on. And so, yeah, so I see things three-dimensionally. I see things in my mind three-dimensionally. My sculpture teacher in college wanted to know why I didn't have drawings of the sculptures that I was going to create. And I told him that I see things three-dimensionally, and it just seemed like a step backwards to draw them in 2 dimensions so that then I could create them in 3 dimensions. So he thought, oh, okay, that's okay then. But yeah, so I've always been artistic, and I ended up not, I tried several times to do it professionally. Sculpting in wood or stone takes a long time, and I'd spend about 5 months on a given piece, and I would be able to make 3 or 4 pieces before my savings would run out, and then I'd have to go back to different jobs and create savings again before I could, 3 or 4 years later, I could try and become a professional sculptor again. And so did that about 4 times and just sort of gave up on the idea of being able to support myself as an artist. I did in the 80s, in the early 80s, I did teach sculpture. American college had a summer arts program in Crete, Greece, and I was, the first year I was a TA in that, and then other years I had my own classes that I taught, and that was a very nice job until there was some plane hijackings in that area, and everybody canceled the next season that we were supposed to go, and that ended it.
So it seems like COVID is not the first time that some world event has changed has changed your life.
Right, no, not at all. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. So just tell us a little bit about, for somebody who may be in their 20s or 30s, what would you say to an XXY guy about getting older? And do you think it's different with XXY or?
I don't think so. I don't think, I mean, I tend to not think of us as being a whole lot different from the rest of the population. I think we're human beings, and I compare myself with other human beings. I see being XXY as having certain challenges, I guess. Certainly in education was a big challenge for me, and certainly in hormones, there's most of us, not all of us, but most of us have lack of testosterone production. And there are members of us, members, it's as if we were a club. There are XXYs who don't consider themselves to be male and therefore don't want testosterone. And it's just a question of that humans, and probably not just humans, animals need hormones to function well. Testosterone for me has improved my cognitive abilities, and it has made it so that I guess it's hard to say whether the testosterone has done all this or the testosterone has matured me to the point where I can do a lot of things that I couldn't do prior to getting the testosterone. So, you know, going back to we're humans, and we just have a few things that stand us aside from other humans, but that medical science has been able to provide testosterone in many forms now. When I was first diagnosed, injection was the only way of getting it. And I have, I used injections for 11 years. They came out with this patch, and I had the patch for 11 years. And then they came out with gels, and I've been on 3 different gels at different times. Androgel mostly. I tried Testum for a while, and I tried this underarm, I think it's called AXYS, and it didn't work for me because my skin was too tender for it, and so I had to stop that very quickly. And I'm on a generic gel now, which works fine for me. It doesn't work for everybody, we know that. I think the statistic is that it works for about 60% of us. What else can I tell you?
I mean, I think that's really it. I think that's a great catch up, and I really appreciate your perspective. You know, that we're all human beings just trying to get through this life. So I want to thank you very much for being a part of this session. And then we'll be having the question and answer, and people can be able to ask you and your other presenters some direct questions.
Okay, great.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.